we are discussing also the idea of, in this module we have discussing the some parts of the innovation, value innovation and so on, and the use in alternate markets as a concept. So one of the key ideas when it comes to new product development is obviously design thinking, right? Again, so you have done the course on design thinking, so I will not get into detailed on that, but we'll just touch upon some of those basics. Again, by now you would have sensed that new product development and design thinking are somewhat correlated, right? You can use design thinking as a concept to develop your new products, right? So what's the basic idea of design thinking compared to your pure analytical thought process? Compared to instead of doing cause effect kind of analysis, it allows us to basic, again the starting point is the same, right? Understand the customer need, ask good questions, right? What is the problem, right? Where to start and so on. Interpret unfamiliar text, create new text, build new argument, do complex analysis, yeah, develop original solutions and make judgments and so on, right? So you have to use reasoning on your own and building on the reasoning of others also. And the other idea of design thinking also involves rapid testing of iterations, right? Is key to designing unique solutions, right? You more we focus on both sides, right? Here logic and creativity, right? Design thinking kind of interprets both aspects, whereas if you look at other way of product basic development processes typically follows your logical approach, right? So again, so far what we have discussing the new product development ideas, you will see that it is more oriented towards also design thinking when we say that understand the customer, right? Map the requirement, think unique ideas, create breakthrough options and so on, right? A lot of these things are possible with design thinking, right? Again, it's for you to interpret, right? So again, the broad concept wise, design thinking combines your left and right brains, right? Your analytical and creative side. Left brain typically represents your linear, logical, sequential, analytical flow of things and so on, which is more structured, right? More logical flow and so on. Right brain we typically use for design, synthesis, getting the context, understanding the uniqueness of the context and so on, right? How do you identify that the product that you are making in developed market may not work in emerging markets? Some of those concepts come from creatively or thinking a design thinking way and so on, right? Understanding the context, yeah, the pattern or artistic sense or aesthetics, right? We discussed about designing products keeping in mind aesthetics, ergonomics and so on, right? All these are aligned here, right? Usually while your lot of your coursework or education is, when we study your concepts or formulas or frameworks, what are they designed for? They are designed for your enhancing your left brain capabilities, right? Enhancing your analytical abilities, logical thinking and so on. So we are less trained on your right brain side. Right brain is less common, but in today's market actually it is more valuable. If you essentially see the advantage or the use of technology or machine learning, AI and so on, a lot of those analytical power or processing power can be done through your computing or your robotics and so on, right? Which is whereas your right brain becomes essential. And the product manager or the role of product development is to get the both sides right, right? Only left, not the only the analytical side, but it should be the design side, right? So what are the key abilities that we are looking at here when we say the right side. There is your design ability, right? Design ability comes with your crafting novel, unique solutions, right? Get new, unique insights and so on. Storytelling ability, right? Your ability to connect the dots, right? Weaving a context, right? Communicating to the consumers and so on, right? Appealing to the emotions, right? Sometimes, let's say you design a product, you also need to be able to tell the story where it is coming from. Let's say you are designing a sari, right? You have to, if you tell the story of what is the origin, what's the values it represents, and what design patterns and so on, perhaps it will have more, consumers will appreciate that aspect, right? A lot of these products you will see today, they have their own Insta stories or social media presence and so on, yeah, for your products. Let's say organic products or chemical free products. It's not only about creating a great products or doing R&D. You have to also tell the story, right? So when someone tells you the story that, so the baby had skin allergy and so on, so I was looking for a product, and so this is appeals for the storytelling or emotions and context, right? This is where you name accordingly and so on, right? These are some of those elements that is essential in terms of selling or positioning your product. Yeah, the ability to symphony. Yeah, symphony ability is big picture thinking or strategic thinking. Yeah, empathy ability. This gives you to see from user's perspective how the user going to react to it, understanding and so on. Playfulness ability is to use whatever is available. Right, the basic idea of, again, lot of these are also you have discussed about effectuation and design thinking, so you will know all these are related, right? Giving meaning or basically have a significance or purpose or motive and so on. Yeah, so this is broadly when we say design is the creative organizing of human elements, physical elements, technical elements and knowledge elements towards the creation of an object or system. That means your functional goals, aesthetic goals, ergonomic goals or economic goals. Yeah? And while you are trying to organize the capabilities and meeting the goals of the user or meeting the user demand, you also have to keep an eye on the constraints of the system. The constraints come from your resource positions and technical feasibility, right? And overall it has to be aligned with the vision and value system of the organization, right? The idea of design thinking, how you merge some ideas of design thinking, the basic concepts of design thinking with your new product development. Again, as we discussed, you have done that, so I am not dedicating a module on design thinking here, but it will be good if you spend some time, take it as an exercise and link your lessons from design thinking and new product development, right? You will see that there is a huge overlap here, right? How do you use design thinking to create product? Okay, so you can use it in your exercise also. Okay,